Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Danny, also known as Plyomorph. So this video is going to be a little bit different. Usually I'll show a typical plyometric workout or exercises that you can use in your training, but this is going to be more along the lines of a breakdown of a proper plyometric workout. So basically at the end of this video, you're going to have a better understanding of how to implement plyometrics into your workouts and also get some common questions answered. I believe that no matter what sport you play or type of athlete you are, if you watch this whole video, you're going to find it super valuable. Whether that's vertical jump, speed, power, explosiveness. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So here we are, how I reclaimed my athleticism in 12 weeks using plyometrics, and how I'm helping other athletes do the same thing too. So a few examples here of former athletes that have taken my plyometric programs. So we have Tristan here. He was a former athlete. He played basketball and he felt his vertical jump was regressing. This shows how great plyometrics can be if properly programmed. So within 3 weeks of starting my plyometric program, he felt he was already making progress. He was a former athlete, played basketball, and he was already grabbing rim again. So that's awesome for Tristan for sure. Next we got Phil. So Phil here, he never trained plyometrics before starting my program. And honestly, I love that. There's just so much room for growth if you haven't trained plyometrics properly, and Phil can attest to that. He said his body improved not only in vertical jump, but also in his overall fitness and muscle mind feeling. So plyometrics will give you a mental edge in your sport as well. And finally, we got Adam. So Adam here, he's a volleyball player and he fully encourages athletes to use my plyometric program. Now, after taking my program, he felt his vertical jump increased and he felt a lot more confident as a player when he was jumping the spike. He also felt he became more agile and quicker. And he completely recommends my plyometric program no matter what sport you play or type of athlete you are. Now, let me tell you who my plyometric programs are for. If you want to increase your vertical jump, this is for you. If you want to increase your muscular power, this is for you. If you want to increase your first step explosiveness, this is for you. If you want to increase your agility and footwork, this is for you. And if you want to reclaim your athletic ability, this is certainly for you. Now let me tell you who this is not for. If you don't put proper effort in during your workouts, this is not for you. So let's say you show up to the gym or your workout and you're just tired and you're going through the motions, you're giving anything less than 100%, this is not going to work for you. If you don't care about increasing your athletic ability, this is not for you. If you are inconsistent with your workouts, let's say you train 1 week, you're super motivated, confident, and then the next week you just dip off. Plyometrics are not going to work for you. This is not for you. If you want to follow a traditional strength workout, this is not for you. If you just want to do calf raises, deadlifts, and squats, you don't want to jump, this is not for you. And if you're not looking for a proper plyometric program, this is definitely not for you. But now here's the truth and the most common excuses to go with them. Age. With former athletes, you know, they're out of high school, college, whatever it may be, and they're playing pickup soccer, basketball, any sport really, and they feel that they're not going to increase their athletic ability. It's done. It's capped off. And I've seen plenty of athletes transform their athleticism regardless of age. And also I'll see it a lot is people complaining they don't have the right genetics for athletic ability. Same thing, vertical jump, speed, power, explosiveness. It's not going to increase because they don't have the genetics for it. And I'll tell you firsthand, I felt I didn't have the genetics, but let me tell you, within a month of training plyometrics, I've transformed as an athlete. So another excuse I see in the comments all the time is height. Regardless of your height, you can certainly increase your athletic ability. You can still increase your vertical jump, speed, power. Regardless of height, you can increase. I promise. So previous injuries. Unfortunately, injuries are super common in sports. So you get injured and you're like, oh, I just want to be back to that level I was before I get injured. That can happen with plyometrics. As long as you're cleared for physical activity, you can definitely reclaim your athleticism to where you were before, if not even better. And finally, I'll see that someone says they don't have a top tier training facility or a gym. I promise plyometrics can be completed outdoors with no equipment. I've had plenty of videos on it, and my programs are very minimal with equipment. You can definitely make them work even if you just have a bench, chair, and leaves. So even if you don't have that top tier equipment, you can definitely still do my plyometric programs. And just for an example here, Daniel M., he completed one of my plyometric workouts. He's 47 years old, he had previous injury history, and he's seeing improvement within 1 month of starting my program. So you may have a line of excuses out the door, but don't worry, I'm not going to let that happen to you. You can absolutely reclaim your athletic ability in 12 weeks using plyometrics regardless of your age, genetics, height, or top-tier training facility. However, most athletes aren't capable of doing so because they don't understand how to progressively intensify their training, follow a proper sports performance program, properly implement plyometrics with correct guidelines, and develop a consistent and fully structured training schedule. So in case you don't know me, here's a little background story of how I got here today. So I'm a former athlete, and growing up I played a ton of different sports. Basketball, soccer, football, you name it. Later on, I decided to focus on basketball. With basketball being my sport, I always wanted to jump higher. Everyone always said, you gotta do your squats, calf raises, deadlifts. So in the back of my head, I was like, I've never worked out before in my life. But I decided to take matters into my own hands and watch YouTube videos on how to train, and went to the gym on my own. With this, I developed a passion for working out, and I realized how much I enjoyed being at the gym and just becoming a better athlete through sports training. And that's exactly why after high school, I wanted to pursue a degree in exercise science. I knew with that degree, I could become a strength and conditioning coach and work with a ton of different athletes. I just knew it was something I was passionate about and I enjoyed doing. So I now hold my degree in exercise science, and I work with a ton of athletes of different sports and ages as a strength and conditioning coach. Personally, I always felt my athleticism could be better. So when I took my strength and conditioning internship in college, I realized that all of the athletes were implementing plyometrics into their workouts. And I was like, what are these? I'd never used them before. And I decided, why not? I'll throw them in my own workout. What's the worst that could happen? I'm telling you, after 1 month of training them, I became a whole different athlete. So it became a long-term goal of mine, just to keep striving to improve my athletic ability. During this time of using plyometrics, I realized that there wasn't a ton of information out there, or there wasn't TikToks, YouTubes, Instagrams. There was nothing on plyometrics. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, and that's how we are here today. And now I just want to help as many former athletes or current athletes as possible reach their untapped potential. Right here, I just want to kind of touch on that the Plyomorph Training System is my athleticism formula that I built through my own trial and error programming. So when I first learned about plyometrics, I needed to go through a series of tests to see which ones worked best for vertical jump, speed, agility, power, and how I could implement that into my own workouts. At the bottom here you can see, so the picture to the left is when I was in college. I was getting stuffed by the rim basically every dunk attempt. I'd be lucky. The hoop would probably have to be at like 8.5 feet for me to dunk or something. And flash forward to nowadays, I can dunk cleanly on any 10-foot hoop. My younger self would love to hear that. But anyways, I'm gonna break this all down for you on how you can do the same thing. In the following steps, I'll outline the entire process A to Z of what I did to accomplish these results, so you can too use my plyometric training to regain your athleticism. These are all points to know when programming plyometrics. I'm just going to touch on these briefly right now, and we'll get more into it later on. So number one, workout placement. Should plyometrics be trained at the beginning, middle, or end of your workouts? Number two, planes of motion. Which plyometrics should I use specific to my goals? Number three, training volume. How many reps of plyometrics should I do per exercise? Number four, training rest periods. How long should you rest after each plyometric set? And finally, number five, training schedule. How many times a week should I train plyometrics? So let me tell you this. Within just 4 weeks of using my plyometric training system, I could notice and feel a complete change in my overall athletic ability. I could finally dunk a basketball consistently, and my performance on the court improved tremendously. Many people always came up to me with the same question: how did you transform so quickly? And my answer always stayed consistent: implementing plyometrics. And this is how you can do the same. How to implement plyometrics. Let's get into it. What part of my workout should I train plyometrics? You want to train plyometrics when you're non-fatigued. So what I mean by this is you want to be completely fresh. You don't want to be tired when you train plyometrics. You want to feel like you're warmed up, you got fresh legs, and you're good to go. You may not feel it, but if you're strength training before plyometrics, then chances are your legs are going to be tired and you're not going to give 100% effort. You can certainly train plyometrics whenever you want, but it's most recommended to train in the beginning, just because you're going to get the best results that way. So next up here is planes of motion. So a lot of people don't know this, but this is a huge part of plyometric training. So what I mean by planes of motion is the direction of the jump. This can all translate to many different sports, so if your goal is to increase your athleticism in general, these are all great to touch on, no matter what sport you play or type of athlete you are. So all these planes of motion listed here can be translated to a plyometric. So you want to be sure in your programming you're touching on each one of these. Now it doesn't have to be each training session, but make sure you're hitting on at least one of these per week. Starting here with rotational. So a rotational movement would be something such as a rotational box jump or 180-degree jump. Next up is linear, so that's your ability to jump out far or forward, and that would be a movement such as a broad jump. Another common plane of motion is vertical, so you'll see this when you do a box jump, seated jump. There's plenty of different plyometrics for that. And finally, I like to combine these, medial and lateral, so moving to the side or moving to the middle. This would be something such as cone hops, lateral jumps, medial jumps, hurdle hops, something along those lines. And with all these planes of motion, you can hit them unilaterally as well as bilaterally. So what I mean by that is you can do double or single leg. A quick example of that, single leg box jump, double leg box jump. So for sure you want to make sure your plyometric program hits on all these planes of motion. Alright, this is a big one here, repetitions. Everyone says, why is it only 3 reps? Or why is it only 5 reps? Why not 15, 20? So the reason for plyometrics always seeming to be low reps is because you want to work in the power rep range. This range falls between 3 and 6 for the best results. The reason for this is because we want to move quick and powerful for the best results. Let's say you're doing a box jump. By the time you get past 6 reps, you're most likely going to be tired, so you're not going to be jumping with 100% effort, and you're not going to get the results you want. So basically, unless you want to train for endurance, anything past 6 is not going to help your power. Plyometrics aren't meant for endurance, they're meant to help your muscular power. So therefore, keep your reps in that 3 to 6 rep range. So this is a big one here as well. I see a lot of comments asking how long a plyometric session should be, or how many plyometrics should be a part of a workout. So if you just follow this guideline chart here, that's what you want to follow rather than the sets or time or reps, whatever it may be. You want to follow foot contacts. Every time your foot hits the ground is a foot contact. And obviously if you're an advanced athlete, college level athlete, you got 3+ years of plyometric experience, your numbers are going to be way different than a beginner level athlete as shown here. So when you're programming your plyometric workout, if you just follow this chart here based on your experience and the type of drill you're doing, it'll give you a solid baseline for your plyometric workout. Rather than it being based on time or number of plyometrics, just follow this chart and you'll be golden. Now you may ask yourself, how long should I rest between sets? This is another one that varies based on demand, but a simple rule to follow is that you should be resting 5 to 10 times the amount you're working. So if your set is 30 seconds, you should be resting 2.5 to 5 minutes. And this all goes back to the beginning when I say you want to give 100% effort. So you may feel like, oh, I'm fresh, I'm good to go for the next set. I only took 45 seconds. But in reality, your body might need that 2.5 to 5 minutes, and that's what's going to give you that 100% effort. It's been researched, so these are the guidelines that I like to follow. You could always shorten your rest time, but then you may not get the best results. So it's a little time investment to rest, but you'll get that much better results just by resting a little bit longer. This all varies on the demand of the plyometric. For example, if you're doing depth jumps, you should definitely be resting longer than if you're doing line jumps. So yes, you want to take your rest period serious. So another question I get a lot is how many days a week should I train plyometrics? So just like anything, it depends on your fitness level. So if you haven't worked out in a while or worked out in general, obviously you want to ease into it. You want to start at 1 day a week, gradually increase as you get more experience and in better shape. Also, it depends on experience. If you're a college level athlete, you're going to train more than a beginner. So the best rule of thumb that I like to follow is 2 to 3 days a week for the best results. So that will give you enough time for recovery, at least a day of rest in between I like to do, and it will get you prepared for your next session without being too fatigued. Overall, when you complete a plyometric program following these guidelines I just went over, it's almost impossible for you not to regain your athletic ability. And now that you understand how exactly this process works, I have an offer for you. If you're a former or current athlete and are looking to increase your vertical jump, looking to increase your explosiveness, looking to increase your speed and first step explosiveness, looking to increase your agility and footwork, and want to reclaim your athleticism, go ahead and book a call with me down below and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to chatting and I'll catch you in the next one.